All right, I am recording.
All right.
All right. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
have a
St.
Shamrock
Patrick's Day.
Shake
It's
later.
oh, you are?
Probably. I not because of the holidays, just in general.
That's fair. All right. Well, introduce yourself, Jarrett.
Well, I'm Gerard DeCarrot. I do YouTube full times. I have an economics degree that I have not used since I graduated college. How about you?
Great. Uh, I'm Travis. Luminox on online sometimes, and I'm a sergeant in the National Guard. Been in for about 6 years, and I never went to college, so our degrees are the exact same.
Yep, they are exact same of usefulness right now.
All right.
But
What do you think we should talk about first?
all right, so let's go over just like general information about each
Hmm.
other, or like the bigger topics right now. That way, the audience has at least a little bit of just basic knowledge on us. So
Yeah.
just name a topic. We'll both just say our opinions on it real quick, and we'll kind of go back and
Okay.
forth,
Okay.
almost like speed dating.
Tariffs. Tariffs.
I think the way Trump used tariffs is the smartest way of doing it, where it's more of a threat than an actual like
Mhm.
economic policy. If you done any econ, you hate tariffs because it's like against a natural market, and we like natural markets. But the way Trump just uses them to threaten other countries into submission, I think is the right way of using them, because we could always just make stuff at home if we need to. But
Exactly.
in general, if you ever say that they're good for the economy, no, they're not. But
No, I think that hopefully he'll bend his because I feel the exact same way. It's great the way he's doing it. He's using it to get a strategic advantage over every other country that's been just screwing us over for the past 10, 20, 30 years. China, Canada is a big one. But I'm really glad that you pointed that out too.
I think,
Oh, God.
yeah, we are a superpower, and we have to start to show that we're a
Yeah.
superpower
We need
again.
to start producing our own stuff again.
Yeah, at least have the capability to. That way, if
Yeah.
you ever need to turn off the trade with another country, you're not threatening your own economy to do it.
Exactly, but like I said before, I just hope he bends his knee if we do need to, because the
Yes,
obviously economy is screwed right now.
yes. Right
Partial
now, it's
from the
just
last
really bad.
administration, and then everything's going on in the world. It's not, but it's
It,
just hopefully it's he bends his knee if it gets too bad.
too many countries right now have too much leverage. There's too
I
much
agree.
of the. If we stop trade with the United States, well, the United States don't even have like access to that industry. You could take something as simple as like coffee. So
Yeah,
coffee we just would not have access to. It's like our main import from China. Well, that gives them a
yeah,
stranglehold on something that most Americans are addicted to, and that's caffeine. So it's
that's fair. Yeah, they had that, and then I think it was God. I'm trying to remember what I heard. I believe it was steel. We're paying like $700 billion to get steel from Canada, and it's like,
yeah,
wasn't Pennsylvania the steel capital of the world?
it's just
Like,
it's cheaper to import. It's cheaper to import and
yeah,
have these
but
foreign countries do it. But the issue is Americans need to have the conversation of what are we okay with our like foreign labor, because we are using like sweat factories, obviously slave
mhm,
labor, all that jazz, but we're okay with it because it's not in our home country.
yeah,
Are we okay paying twice as much for our goods to have them made in the United States? I don't know if our civilians are ready for it yet.
yeah, and I do like that President Trump is another great reason for tariffs is like we said, producing more in the United States. But it's forcing companies to do that instead of going to Mexico, where they'll work for $2 to go build whatever. They're in America. So,
Yeah, you almost need to make it. I don't even know how you would, because of the labor costs in this country. You need to make it so tax beneficial to keep your like company in the United
mhm,
States, and we're not doing that, especially in bigger cities. It's like you're getting
yeah.
taxed out the ass and then paying more for labor. Why would you not go
So,
to a
so
foreign
how do you
country?
feel about the new things President Trump's talking about with not taxing anyone who makes less than $150,000 a year?
Uh, it's
It
hard
sounds too good to be
because
true.
I agree with it in
Yeah.
principle, because but in the issue is the people who use the resources that taxes are taxed for, like public service, the public transport.
Exactly.
It's all poor people using that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to tell a rich person, like, hey, we're going to tax you for services for the people who are not going to get taxed.
Yeah, that,
like,
that makes sense, yeah. I think it could be...
I think just do universal, like a percentage.
Yeah.
5% to me should be the same as 5% to a billionaire. It's the same amount, so they're still going to pay millions, but at least it's the same.
Yeah, because I don't mind taxes. Like, I don't want to pay like a fuck ton of money, but it does. It pays for our firefighters, our police, our schools. It makes those better. Our roads. Like, you can tell areas that are taxed less, like local taxes, the roads are shit. And then people who tax more, their roads are perfect. Like,
well, you should also. That's the issue I think people have, though. If you're getting taxed a lot, or you feel like you're being taxed a lot, you want to see it within your community.
Exactly.
So if you go out there and you hit a pothole and you realize that you're getting taxed a shit ton, that hurts. There's something about that where you're like, well, fuck, fill it. Like, I'm paying you to
fill it. Like, exactly.
Fix the road, asshole. Like,
yeah.
I think that's a real stance of people. But I think I think a lot of, like, even poorer people who are using, like, the benefits, whatnot, they probably don't feel that need for the tax to change much. Because then they're seeing good results. It's that, like, lower middle class to, like, the higher lower class, I think those are the people who really see it the most.
It also depends on
tax, but not seeing the benefits.
Yeah, it also depends on where you live. Like, California, it's crazy. To, like, have one child, you need to make, like, $160,000 a year.
It's
like,
also hard, like...
That's crazy.
Talking, like, federal to state, state to local is super hard,
too. Yeah, it changes so much. You drive a mile down the road, and it's completely different.
Yeah, well, take, like, even California, like you said, they'll talk about, like, minimum wage, like, federal minimum wage has to go up. No one in California is making minimum wage.
Nobody.
You can't. It's just locally you can't.
Yeah, I have a friend in Iowa who is. She makes the $725 or whatever, and she's like, "Oh God, I want this house, but it costs too much." I'm like, "Oh, what is it? You know, like $300,000-400,000? Because that's pretty average." And she's like, "No, it's $74,000." I'm like, "Oh, that could buy the driveway to a house in Michigan." Like,
yeah, it's just, and I think it's okay for that. I think all 50 states need to have its own economy in a way, and you're gonna have that cost benefit, but. It's the issue with having a federal system looking over a bunch of other systems. You're always going to have those, like, outside factors that makes it feel like you're not receiving exactly what you actually are for your local situation. Especially now, everyone who's college educated wants to live in, like, 3 different cities. It's New York, LA, or San Francisco. It's like, you got nothing else.
Yeah.
And they're the most expensive places to live. So it's like...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to fix that, though.
Yeah, that's what I feel about, like, just California in general. It's weird because, like, everyone on average makes a lot more money than, like, Michigan, for example. But then they also have the most homeless, by far.
Yeah.
Like,
but
I
think a lot of homeless people do travel to those type of places.
Yeah.
Because they give more benefits there. It's a better community for them
and
whatnot. But
they have actual tents where they're, like, the paramedics will give them heroin. And they'll be like, "Here, do heroin in a safe spot." And they'll just give them heroin.
Just keep it away from the schools.
It's like, I understand what they're trying to do, but it's also like you're enabling them to be an addict. Like,
there's so much you can... this is one issue with our political divide in the country, too, is neither side can be honest about the other side. Where it's like, in theory, I know what you're going for here.
Yeah,
like, help the homeless is a very good stance, but it's like, okay, why are they homeless?
But it also hasn't worked. Like, California's been a Democratic state for how long? Since I've been alive? Like, since Arnold in, like, the 90s or whatever?
Look at that across the board, though. Whenever the government tries to fix anything, it goes up. We're not a healthier country after the Obama administration. It's... I even take something like the suicide awareness they're doing in, like, high schools and whatnot. Our suicide rates are going up at the same, like,
and the highest awareness is. And the highest is the LGBTQ and transgender community. Like, that's their highest.
We're pushing for.
They're pushing. It's not even pushing. They are shoving it down your throat in schools. It is crazy in schools.
Crazy. It is
like.
It's one of those things. So this was a hard thing for me growing up. Is I remember, like, arguing with my parents about gay marriage in, like, kitchen, like, just, like, late night conversations with my mom about it. And I'm like, to me, it's always made sense. Yeah, gay marriage should absolutely be legal. Like that's my
Yeah.
stance on it. I don't really know a good argument against
Yeah,
it.
I mean, here's what I have against that. Like, I'm not very religious, but I understand in the like Bible it says stuff like that, where it's like no man and man, or only a man and a
Yeah,
woman. So
man shall
don't
not
make it
lay
a
dead his
marriage.
son or
Make it
something
a
like that.
civil union. They get the exact same benefits. The Christians aren't mad.
Yeah, take it
That's it.
out. Government should not be involved in marriage at all. But since we allowed it
Yeah.
to be, you have
That's
to
the
allow gay
issue.
marriage.
Yeah,
It's
but
kind
I
of
don't
my
mind.
stance
I don't
on
mind
it.
that. I don't mind anyone who's gay. Like,
But
except for the people walking down the street butt ass naked, twerking on children, and during parades. Like,
even take gay marriage though. Gay marriage was legalized in what 2012, and then
I believe
6
so,
years
somewhere around
later,
there.
I'm arguing with my nieces about what gender is. Like that was a slippery slope that I did not.
Yeah, it
see
started that
happen,
avalanche,
actually
dude.
happened. Yeah, where I'm like, it was quick. It was within,
was.
like I said, it was Trump's first administration that we were really arguing about transgender rights. Gay
Yeah.
marriage was legalized 4 years earlier. It's like we are moving so quickly down this road.
But I don't know why they're pushing it so much when the rates of suicide and depression are so high. Even Gavin Newsom, everyone hates and the right hates Gavin Newsom, but he did that show with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk went on his show, and they had so many good talking points. Gavin Newsom, as President Trump likes to say, but he even said that it's about fairness in sports. With the transgender thing in sports, he's like, it's about fairness, and it is not fair. He even said put his hand down, and he's like, no, this is not fair. So there's somebody who's pretty high. He's gonna probably he's gonna be one of the presidential picks possibly in 2028 for the Democrats. So
the issue is both parties have their talking points, and you
Mm-hmm.
can see it when they talk on like one-on-one conversations. They seem so much more rational than when they're like talking
Yeah.
to an audience. And
Yeah.
the LGBTQ thing, you see that a lot, where it's like, yeah, they shouldn't be in sports, whatnot. They shouldn't do this, or
Yeah.
once they're 18, we really don't care. And then you put them like a bill will come out that they agree with, and the bill says the exact opposite. The bill is just
Yeah.
you play the sport you identify as. It's like you just said you were against that, but now
Yep.
it's worded just a little different.
and then you want to know what they put in that bottom of that bill? $600 billion to Ukraine.
That should be illegal. They need to make it where bills have to like be on one topic.
Yeah, I agree, because that's crazy how many times. So say it's something like something good that's good for no tax on Social Security, right? It says that in the bill, and then it says, but we're also going to give $1 trillion to Ukraine, and then all the Republicans vote no. Then the Democrats go, look, they don't care about your tax. They're lying.
Or even take the name of bills. They can name a bill
Oh
like
my
the
God.
What was the Anti-Inflation Act or whatever?
Yeah, and it did.
It increased inflation. Like in the bill,
Yeah.
it says like it's gonna increase,
Yeah.
but we want to sell it to the American people. It's like what? How is that allowed?
They
Like,
shouldn't be trying to sell it. They should be being transparent, which I think this administration is probably the most transparent that we've had.
It depends.
But I still
They're
feel like it's the most that
transparent
I've
and
seen.
What we're hearing is correct. That's
Yeah. There's always going to be stuff that we don't need to know, that we shouldn't know. Like a government should never be 100% open, or it's going to get overthrown.
Because it's also easy on our end. Like I think you and I are both smaller government people naturally, so like stuff like
Yeah.
Doge is gonna be a good example of.
I like it, so.
Yeah, they come out and they say like, "Hey, this agency is wasting money." You and I are also inclined to be like, "Fuck that agency already."
Yeah.
Like, which is
Yeah.
fair. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that any of that. But I feel like they need to still show it a little bit more. Like, you got Elon going out there and will say something like this.
Yeah,
This
I feel like
agency
we
is
just have to
spending
wait.
This much money to this country. Okay, show
Yeah.
me the receipt. I need to see. Like,
Yeah, they
actually,
do post it on X. Doge does.
Yeah.
They do post
They
the receipts,
try.
which I
They
do
try
like.
to
Yeah,
send
they
them
try. But
And
there's
I
also
admire
stuff
that
they
for
can't show. Like there's stuff that
Yeah,
is
like-
actual, like top secret, confidential, that I can't even see in the military. Like I only have a
the
secret.
military stuff.
I can only see secret. So it's like,
Yeah, military stuff is also crazy because you had
Yeah.
the issue with Trump's first administration where he wanted to pull out of certain countries, and higher ups in the military told him they were going to do it, and then didn't do it.
yeah. And then also, one thing that our country needs, and I want to hear your stance on this, is Republicans need to win the midterm, or it's going downhill. Because 2016. What happened? He would do something good, and Democrats would just shut it down because party lines. Like,
Oh, that's the issue right now that Republicans
Yeah.
have too. Is Democrats will never play ball with Republicans right now.
yeah.
And what the Democrats then will say is, well, look, they're not bipartisan at all. They have no bipartisan bills. Well,
Yeah.
you can't be bipartisan if the whole other half of the aisle isn't going to sign anything for those amount of years. So then when Republicans do cross the aisle, they are bipartisan on certain topics.
Exactly.
They credit Joe Biden for it. They're like, look how bipartisan Joe Biden is. Like, because Republicans are willing to sign with you. You guys won't sign anything that Trump stands on.
We are starting to see that more. Like, for the censor of Al Green, like 12 Democrats said yes. Yeah. And all the independents did because they thought that was outrageous. And then the other one started singing. Like, what? That just doesn't make sense to me because, like, our politics are a joke to other countries. Like, they just sit there and they laugh. It's like a game show. It's like watching Big Brother. Fucking, they're over here just laughing.
We're like at those amusement parks, those like swinging ship rides. That's all we are though. Like every year, the Republicans will take office. They'll go a little too far. They'll swing back, and there's no middle ground candidates anymore. Like Joe Biden, people will try to act like he was like a middle ground moderate, and he just wasn't. And
no,
Trump is weird because Trump is very back and forth.
Your camera just went out for me.
Your camera went out.
Your camera just went out for me.
Oh, yours went out for me. I see.
There we go. We're back.
We're back. We're live.
That was a little weird,
but but no, that's one thing that we're kind of having an issue with. Trump is weird because he's like very moderate on certain subjects, and then like immigration, he's very far right on, which is fine on certain topics.
I think the way they're handling immigration is good, but
it will be if done perfectly. The issue is the second he deports one person who's legal, it's gonna be so easy to
they need to keep their due processes and everything else. They need to make sure that is maintained within ICE and Border Patrol and everything.
They gotta be careful because you're never gonna bat 100. Like but that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the one picture that they could get of someone who's actually legal, and then that's gonna be the only one they ever talk about. It doesn't matter that the other 9,000 people are illegal. They're gonna take that one legal person. They're gonna go, well, how many others? Like,
how many others were deported and were legal? And then all the illegals in like Mexico, they go out there and they interview them. And they're like, I was deported. And I'm legal. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Or they'll say, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, I didn't break any laws. It's like
you broke into the country.
If you're illegal, yes, you're inherently
you broke into the country.
Yes.
Like.
If I right now walk into your house and you don't want me there, I might have not done anything necessary. Well, I might have just walked in. I didn't break in. The door was unlocked.
Yeah.
I'm still not allowed to be there.
What is that technically? I believe that's technically burglary. It's something goofy. It's weird. It
depends on the state too, because
it does. Yeah. But some states it is burglary. Like,
you know, a law that needs to change is these fucking squatter right laws.
That is fucking insane. So. Who was it? The fucking YouTuber or whatever. Asian Andy?
Yes,
did you hear about that? Yeah. And he had the guy living in there for over a year. And he was just harassing him because he's like, I own this place. Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
And it just doesn't matter. And it's one of those things. And again, the original law was made so that, like, so that tenants could just get thrown out.
Yeah.
Like,
so
you need a 30-day notice. People legally living in the house.
Like, I think there should be something where, like, once you're evicted, you get time.
Yes.
Like, a month, even 2 months. That's fine. But not like, California, a free year. No rent, and there's no criminal charges.
Yeah, it makes
year
sense.
1 day, criminal charges. It's like, what?
And it's, again, one of the things, Democrats are really good at doing this, though, because if you're anti-that, like, you could say, like,
you're anti-America.
You're living someone else's house. You're anti-poor.
You hate poor people. Yeah, you hate poor people.
You want them to just be on the street? They don't need a house. Like, you own 3 houses. Why can't they just live under one of the roofs?
No, that's what they always say. And they always hate that a lot of Republicans build themselves up from the ground. You know what I mean? Like, they go into real estate. They're an entrepreneur. You know, and everything. They're like, well, they were born into money. It's like, no, he built it. I mean, Elon was built in the money.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
and Trump was too.
But he turned this into that.
But they won't respect that.
I respect it. I respect
even anything.
Yeah, even like some of the I can't think of, like, Bill Gates. I respect Bill Gates. Do I like what he thinks politically? Fuck no. But do I like him? Yeah. Like, I respect him.
You see it though. The issue is now it's going so far down in the culture too.
Hmm.
I had the issue in college where people just immediately assume like I didn't work to get there, and it's like me and my brother are like the first of our generation to ever go to college. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't come from a college educated family, well not. Like my
Yeah.
dad makes very good money now, but it was because he married into the company in a way. Like there wasn't like he was a low level mill worker, but now he like
Yeah.
owns some rights into the mill. Like there's stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't matter that happened when I was 18. They're gonna look at that and go, "Well, your dad has money now,"
He
Like-
paid for you to go to college.
which he didn't.
Yeah. You're like, no, we didn't.
No, like right now, like that's gonna be the biggest bill. How would you fix that? How would you fix colleges right now?
For
Between the
one,
debt
I
you
don't
go
think-
in and the education you get.
I think, well, for one, the majors that are like fucking. I heard, I think it was Charlie Kirk joked on that Gavin Newsom thing, and he was like, he was talking about a degree called African Lesbian Studies, and he's like, it's probably a thing. He's like, it's probably a thing.
I took
like-
a women's literature class. Trust me.
See, even that's not like. That's to an extent where it's like, okay, you know, because there are important women in literature. You know what I mean? Like, there's. But it's not just. You shouldn't need a degree in gender studies. That's not.
As a topic, it's okay. As a degree,
Yeah, like
it's
gender
not.
studies is fine as a topic because it's yes, there's a science to it, and then there's not a science to it. You know, there's stuff that falls into that. But for one, it should be in the medical field, and it shouldn't
Yeah,
be
or social code.
Yeah, but it's like they just there's like, oh, you want to go to college and do nothing because you're gay? Okay,
Yeah,
I don't like that. Like,
Or even something as simple as like Asian people having to score higher on the SAT. To me,
Yeah,
it's, like
I don't think
My-
any race should have to. It should be a universal
Yeah.
standard for all races. Like,
I feel bad because you sit there like in my business classes, I would sit there next to people who came from like inner city Detroit. And
yeah,
they would look at me and flat and say like, I am not ready for this like level of math. And to
Mhm.
me, it was like kind of basic math, but I was already in like AP level math course.
yeah, exactly.
Now you're sitting next to these people who just we're not on the same educational level.
Yeah,
How do you teach at that point? Because they have
They
to start
do-
so far back for
Yeah.
half the students,
Mhm.
and then the whole class is useless to me because by the time we get to anything new, I'm already there. Like,
what I can think of is community college first. Community college, they will work with you. It's smaller. There's like 20 people classes. It's not 10,000 per class or 1,000. You know,
see that
like
in some of the bigger
fucking.
ones.
Yeah, it's like no. You have like 20 to 50. The teachers will talk to you. They will help you. And they understand your situation. Community college is genuine. It's like a third of the price
Yeah, it's
per
so
semester.
cheap.
Like, that's my recommendation is just community college. Like I was in
Do you
community college
recommend
for about a
college in
week.
general.
I'm iffy on it right now because I might start taking some classes during like this fall coming up again, but it's just because I think it's the generation before us, like our parents and everything. They were drilled so hard by their parents, like you need to go to college, you need this, that they all have degrees, and now they're all the ones hiring. So now they want everyone to have a degree. Like
And degrees used to mean something. Because
now they don't.
Well, it used to be you were specialized in that.
Yeah.
You couldn't be accountant without an
Mhm.
accounting degree because that
Yeah.
was really the only
Now
way
you can
learn
go be an
that
accountant with a
subject.
gender studies degree because you have a bachelor's.
mean,
like
Yeah, or just someone could just teach you the subject, or now online
Yeah.
courses and whatnot. You could just learn the
I-
topic. Like,
I do like those, like certificates and shit like that. I think trade school needs to be like a higher priority than college.
like a mainstream thing. That
I
should be,
yeah, I
like-
think it should. Like even like the military will pay for it. People don't know that. Military will pay you just to go to trade school, you know, college, whatever. But it's like college just isn't worth it as much. I feel like now.
It's hard to like. I will fully admit I got sour grapes from my college, so
Mhm.
I graduated during the COVID years.
Yeah.
Well, what they're supposed to do is there's supposed to be a requirement for you to take internship. So I had an internship all like
Yeah.
lined up through a
But
bank,
COVID, they waived everything
and then
probably.
COVID made it so that
Yeah.
the internship was not just like not allowed, but then they didn't require it for graduation. So then
Yeah.
I graduated with a degree. And I would go to jobs and they would go, "Well, you don't even have experience here." It's like, "Well, I have the degree," and they're like, "Yeah, but you didn't have like an internship or anything." I'm like, "How am I supposed to do that?" Now I'm out of college.
Yeah.
So now they're
exactly.
like, "Well, we could do like a no pay internship." I'm like, "Well, at this point, I'm
I
out of
can't do
college.
that.
I need
I'm
pay. Yeah,
I'm an
it's-
adult now. Like I'm,
Yeah,
I have
it makes
bills.
sense in college to do an
Yeah.
internship like unpaid.
Yeah.
But so I don't know how many people have the same experience I did,
Mhm.
so I don't always want to be like, well, college fucked me, so you shouldn't go. But I see a lot of people right now that are not using their college degrees, even in the fields
Yeah,
that it should be
100%.
useful in. Like,
Yep. The guy I work with, I think he has a degree in business or something. He has a bachelor's in it, and he's a school janitor like I am. Like,
mhm.
because it pays better than like other places that need a degree. It's like what?
The issue is they just have like a entry level positions where you make enough that you can live by, but
Barely, yeah.
the upwards mobility is so hard.
Yeah.
So like, I had that at Domino's with tips and whatnot. I was coming home making decent enough money where I could easily pay the bills and whatnot. But to go above and beyond to enter that next like level of the Domino sphere, they
Yeah.
expect you to work like 55 hours a week. It's like if you have a family or outside projects or whatnot.
Yeah, you good luck.
Yeah, there's just okay, so I have to sacrifice my entire life to Domino's?
Once again, I feel like that
Like-
falls into the generational gap because the past like the 2 generations ago, they would work like 80 hours a week, didn't care. And then it fell down to, like, oh, I'll do a little bit of overtime, and now it's like businesses now refuse to give you overtime or you're required of it and you don't have time because you have other like you want to be there for your family. You don't just want to abandon them and just I feel like another thing is traditions have changed. Because back before it would be like a stay-at-home wife and the dad would work. So he'd work like 60, 70 hours, but there was someone with the kids all the time. Now both parents work and they can barely afford to keep up with the family and they're both working 50 hours like
Well, yeah, it used to be like you just said, if someone worked 60 hours a week but they were making 80,000, that's better than two parents working 40 a week each.
exactly,
But
yeah.
they're making 30 each. Like
Mhm.
but a lot of those
Camera went out again.
You left me again.
Yep. I don't know why it's doing that. It's back.
But
Whatever.
a lot of those type of jobs, it's just with the market, like the workplace market being so much bigger with women being allowed to enter it, which is a good thing
Yeah.
inherently.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it changes the market. I mean, now every household is projected to be a 2-person household, and
Yeah.
if you're not putting in 40 hours a week, you're not keeping up, or even if you want to do 50 hours, a lot of places don't even allow you to.
Yeah, they refuse to give overtime, yeah.
Yeah, because it hurts them more than just having
Exactly.
two weaker employees there.
I feel like another thing with
It's a messed up
employment
situation.
that I think COVID kind of ruined this. Maybe the left a little bit. We love to point blame every once in a while, but I feel like with the whole I'm hiring bullshit, that's crazy. Like companies will say they're hiring, and 1,000
not.
people will apply, and they might pick one, and they needed 100, and then they're like, oh, there wasn't anybody suited for the candidacy, and I'm like, it's a warehouse. Like, what do you mean? You walk around carry
That's what
boxes,
just happened.
like.
When I left Domino's, originally I had a bank job kind of lined up, and that's kind of what happened there. Where I
Yeah.
walked in, and they said, essentially, you're overqualified. And I said, I don't care.
I don't care. I need the job.
Yeah.
Like,
If I want out of my food service job, you are paying roughly the same, but you got more upward mobility here. It's a 9 to 5. It's better hours. Like I
Yeah.
would like this job, and they basically tell me, no, you're overqualified. I'm like, at least tell me I suck at the job or something.
I hate that though. I'm overqualified. Doesn't matter. I'm
like,
applying
what are
to
you
your
afraid
job.
of?
Like, I understand bringing it up in an interview. Be like, hey, you look kind of overqualified for this. And you're like, yeah, I need to secure a job, and I saw that this company is good to move up in. And if I was hiring, I'd be like, oh, perfect. We have a guy who wants to stay here, like someone who will stay in the business and try to move up.
And like I said, no offense to them, but not. I do
Yeah.
fully believe you can hire whoever you want with them. But I
Exactly.
went in there, had like a perfect interview. I had references of people who were there already who liked me and whatnot. And literally, I had someone who worked there, like, kind of giving me the inside notes on the hiring process, like how it was going.
Yeah.
And they literally were just like, "Yeah, they just decided not to hire for it." I was like, "Well, cool. You wasted a lot of people's time then to go interview for a job that didn't even need to be fulfilled.
Yep.
Like you found a candidate and basically went, we'll put them on the back burner. If we ever need the job open, we'll give them a call."
Dude,
That's not how that should
I'm
work.
getting texts from jobs I applied to in October, and they're just now texting me, and they're like, "Hey, are you still interested?" I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah, I'm like, I can't wait around that. In entry level jobs,
Yeah,
they're not like.
this
high
was
up
for a
level
Dollar
advanced-
General. A Dollar General. Like, how are you? You've been hiring for like 2 years. Like, what do you mean? There's not one spot. Like,
There's a grace period here though, where there's it's almost easier for some people not to have jobs. And like right now, I don't.
Yeah.
But I haven't took any like government benefit since I've started the whole like YouTube project. But I know a lot of
Yeah.
people who have that issue of if I go get a job that pays a little bit more, it actually costs them money because of their benefits they're getting from the government.
Yeah.
Well, I'll lose food stamps. It's like, okay, well, even food stamps, let's say hypothetically for them is like $400 a month. It's like, okay, well, to lose that, you need to make more than 400 extra dollars a month.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big pay increase from like not making it to, well, now I need a new job that makes more than 400 a month. Like,
Exactly.
That's a big jump for people.
I feel like that's like we have some state state benefits, mostly healthcare, because it helps with Liz's pregnancy too, because they'll provide
Oh, yeah,
everything.
absolutely.
So like, yeah, I'm gonna milk the state for that. That's expensive. Babies are expensive.
absolutely.
Like, but it's the same thing that you were saying. It's like people. I think the left is partially to blame because they increased unemployment so much, or at least Michigan in general. Our governor has done that like crazy. Like, do you know the minimum wage thing that was passed?
New one? What?
Yeah, so it goes up like so it went up from I think we're at like 11 something and now it's 12 something and then next year it's going up to 16 and by 2030 it's going to be $22 an hour.
Yeah, it's just
That's going to fuck Michigan's economy.
the
Like
issue is though, Democrats only care about the urban areas. So there's
Yeah.
only like 3 places in all Michigan that they even care about. Like that does not work in rural Michigan. I live in
No.
rural Michigan. $22
Yeah.
an hour here is not, oh, you're scraping by. $22 an hour here is we're doing well.
yeah.
Like Christina's making less than that right now.
Yeah.
I haven't brought anything in like 3 months, but we're going off of my savings. But we're going off of my savings. But even just purely her income, we could keep the lights on and pay her car payment, all the bills. Like, honestly, if we didn't have the wedding coming up, there wouldn't be any like
Yeah.
expenses where we actually need the extra money for.
Mhm.
But weddings are fucking expensive, so
Yeah, that's why we went low on ours. Ours was a little backyard shotgun one. It was like maybe $6,000 total, and we split the cost. Like her parents paid for some stuff, my parents did, and then we literally, Liz and I paid for like the tent rental. It was like $500.
But that's what family is supposed to do. That's something
Yeah,
that,
it kinda
a lot of
helps,
People
yeah.
don't have that strong family structure anymore. It's such an advantage in the world if you have it. It really
People
is.
like my mom was like, "I'll handle alcohol," and it was like, "Okay," and then her parents were like, "We'll bring food." But you know, it's expensive when we had a taco bar because people can't complain about tacos. You make your own food, like. And
that's
then
the way
the
to do
beer
it.
was just Costco, like $1,000 of beer at Costco. Like we got the flatbed cart and just started putting like 40 racks on there. Just
Have you ever watched like a Caleb Hammer episode?
I
The
don't believe so,
financial
no.
Audit guy.
no.
It's so weird to watch his show because you listen to poor people that don't realize they're poor, who feel like they should be allowed to live like they're rich. And me and Christina, we watch him like almost every night now.
Yeah.
And they'll have like a couple on, and I had to spend $25,000 on my wedding. And it's like you guys both work at
No.
McDonald's. Like
You don't
guys
have to.
don't have the income to even consider it. Like, why is that even in your brain? Like, allowed?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Sorry you can't have a fairy tale wedding. Like.
yeah. I think it's just a cultural thing. I was always raised like,
Yeah.
if it's not yours, you don't fucking touch it.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't. I started working at a pizza shop when I was 14. I was
Exactly,
like handing out flyers, and when you're that young, $200 a paycheck, you're like, oh my god, I could buy 3 Xbox
Yeah,
games.
that's how I felt
Like,
like
what the
drill
fuck?
weekends when I was 17. I would get like $200
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm fucking rich!
I'm rich, bitch. Like,
It would last for like a month because I'd buy games on Steam. I'd buy DoorDash every once in a while. You know, it's like, I was
delivery,
good.
Pizza delivery.
yeah, like I'm good. Like,
I think we gotta be careful with that too. I think in our culture
Yeah.
we need to stop letting kids have jobs though, because as much as it's a good thing for
Mm-hmm.
them, the issue we're having is every 16-year-old you see working at a job to make that much money, it's taking that money away from someone who actually needs it for like their rent and whatnot. Like, if you're still
Understandable,
living
but
with
I
your
do
parents,
understand-
You're trying to get stuff set
Yeah.
up. It's just those jobs were meant to be entry-level jobs, and now we have people living off those jobs. It makes it
But
so
it-
difficult to enter it.
yeah, I agree and disagree because it's like I understand why you have it. Like you're trying to teach kids responsibility, get them a position so it's like, by the time a kid's like working at McDonald's, they're 16, by the time they're like 18, 19, they're the manager. Not even they are the manager. Like, and that's good for the business, because then they've had them forever.
So
They know they're not
stick
going
around,
anywhere.
yeah.
I understand what you're saying though, like how it's like they're taking opportunities, but I feel like that also falls into like that's the same argument that the right has with illegal immigration,
Yes.
Like how it's like they're coming in here and like for contracting, I'm not trying to be racist here, but the Home Depot example,
Yes.
if there's an actual contractor that's outside Home Depot, like, born in Pennsylvania, 45-year-old white guy, and he's sitting there, with his truck, his nice decaled F-350 waiting, and then there's like 20 anybody else. Like, it could be white guys, like anybody. But they show up and the contractor's like, okay, yeah, I'll build your whole deck for $1,500. Like, that's really cheap. He'll buy everything. And then these guys are like, oh, we'll do it for $500. Yeah, the guy's gonna pick the $500. Like,
Yes, it just cost benefit.
yeah. But then they take away from
Yeah, take
little
away from the
poor
people who are
Jim
actually
Bob
doing
in
it right.
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult because even in that
Yeah.
situation, I think the biggest thing I would change is as simple as I don't think you're allowed to be on unemployment and then be picky about the job. I think unemployment should
Yep.
essentially be the government goes, all right, we'll look in the area for you. Hey, the government talked to the local McDonald's. We got you a job set up. You are gonna go work at McDonald's.
That's how it
and then
should
if
be.
you say no, your benefits should be cut. You're done.
So that is kind of how it is for Michigan. Like for our health assistant, like our healthcare and food and stuff. When I was unemployed because I was between the Taco Bell and coming to the school, and it was like they're like, hey, you have 60 or 90 days to like show us a pay stub, or we're gonna cut the benefits because you're able-bodied. That's what they market as. If you're able-bodied, no disability, like you're fine, and you're just not getting jobs, you have to verify every single week. You have to call and talk to them like, hey, I'm applying to this, I'm applying to that. And they do actually have like a hiring agency that is with the state that you have to go through.
They fixed it since COVID. COVID didn't
Yeah.
require that.
COVID, it was kind of
So many
weird times
people
too,
took
so it's
advantage
like,
of it. Yeah. And like I said, that was like right when I entered like after college adult
the job
age
force.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's such a weird experience for me. We're still lagging on that a little bit. Where I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in like a generation of just people who got screwed by that in a way. And we're all kind of
Yeah.
still waiting for our turn, and we're watching the
Mhm.
next generation now not have the COVID issue, but they're
Yeah.
still like talking as if they did. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
mine was
it a
my
weird time.
junior, senior year of high school. So it was definitely like, it was kind of weird, but I also just had the military lined up. So it was kind of like I was already in, like it didn't change anything. And then I deployed. So, that was good. But school was weird during COVID. The whole world was weird. Because I was one of the
Yes.
people like, I don't want to wear this fucking mask. Like,
Yeah, I think a lot of people look back at it in a weird way too. Of like, during COVID was it was so weird because it was such a scary time, but it was also being a young adult in that time. It was like one of the best moments of my life.
Yeah.
The world shut down. It was like having like an amusement park to yourself.
yeah, you could
just-
do whatever you wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no one was working. Everyone was living off the government at the
Yep.
time. Whatnot. I think people do look back at COVID sometime and think like, oh, that was like the closest to like a socialist utopia. I think people almost starve for that sometimes. Of like, well, now I have to go work. I miss
Yeah.
when I used to just be able to play Warzone for 8 hours a day and Trump was paying my bills.
Yeah.
But I think that might have fucked up like a whole generation of people who went through it. Like, it's gonna be a hard thing for those people to ever go like, yeah, we took 3 years off of the workforce.
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't happen. It's
No, and then I feel like people still blame that though. Like, it's been years. It is not like it was pretty much cleared midway through 21, 22. Like, I understand the economy's still somewhat fucked from it. Shit happens. You know what I mean? But like, stop blaming COVID. Like, I'll still hear that. And it's like, stop blaming it. Oh, speaking of COVID, did you see what was published in the news today?
Is there a new one? New strand or something?
No. Trump has declared that Joe Biden's pardons were unconstitutional because he used AutoPen, so he doesn't know that he signed them. So Anthony Fauci is not pardoned anymore.
Oh no. Oh,
Pam's
no.
coming for him. Pam's coming.
So how do you feel about the two parties kind of right now being, I don't know how to say this in the
A
most
pissing
not,
match?
like, kind of going after
Yeah.
each other's opponents?
Yeah.
How
Well,
do
I think
you think that's dangerous, or what
I
do you
think it's dangerous, but I understand with Fauci, I feel like. Maybe it's just my bias, but like that guy did just blatantly lie, and it was proven that he was just lying. Like that is I don't know the official charge, but it's like fear mongering, right? Isn't that like it's something like that?
But
Like
if you're lying on behalf of the government, because he was saying what the Democrats wanted at the time too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
again, I don't like him by any means, whatnot.
Yeah,
Obviously.
if they
It's
actually
just-
have concrete evidence, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
Mhm.
you
Gotta be
did this,
concrete.
it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense then if they want to do charges, or it's just Trump saying that he's going to, just to kind of scare them and have them back off. You know what I mean? Like, it's because we talked about his scare tactics earlier with tariffs. That's what he's good at, scare tactics and negotiation.
My fear is that the issue is though, it sucks because one team will play by the rules and then the other team will push it, and it forces both sides to kind of push it more and more. Like,
Yeah.
so right now, technically, our president has federal convictions in court.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
he's a felon by definition.
Yeah.
But now half the country literally does not care. Like,
Yeah.
he's a felon, and we look at it as illegitimate, which is fair. Like, I think a lot of the cases were bullshit cases.
100%. Yeah.
But now, is it just gonna be, when we do it back to them, is it gonna be the same thing of, well, how dare you call Fauci a felon? You elected a felon, and now who cares if they broke a law, because now everyone's a felon on both sides of the party. Like
Yeah.
is,
It's just
is
that's
it
what I was
almost
gonna
like
be.
it loses the vigor. It almost loses the power of those like words. But I don't know.
It's a strange one. It's a strange one.
Yeah, I can see us in a couple of years where it's like, well, that guy was convicted of this, and it's like, oh, I don't care. Yeah, he's a Republican.
Yeah.
They get convicted of everything. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be something stupid like that. Yeah.
I'm nervous of hitting that part where it's just, they're all corrupt. Who cares? We gotta still vote for them anyways. Like,
Yeah.
but,
All right. What topic you want to jump over to now? Just a little. We've kind of touched everything almost besides war. Like,
I was just gonna say, let's talk war real quick, man. War is really the last thing.
Yeah.
So first, there's Israel, and then there's Ukraine. Which one you want to start with?
I feel like Israel, because that one's kind of subsided a bit. Like
A little bit, yeah. Trump just lets them do whatever they want now. So
yeah, I think it's. So I feel like we have more stake in Israel than Ukraine. Ukraine, we have no stake.
Oh, absolutely.
Zero stake. Like I don't think we should have been
Almost
fucking
zero.
doing that. Yeah, we
Almost
have
zero.
none. Like they're not an ally. They're nothing. They're like exploiting the U.S. for money, like every other country does. Like,
So we're starting with Ukraine.
well, because Israel's pretty much over. They have the ceasefire. The Hamas has agreed to like. They have a certain area on the Gaza Strip. You know, it's like and Israel
They'll
agreed
behave
with
for a
it.
couple
Like
months.
no, I think it'll be a couple of years, and then they'll just do it again
No.
because Hamas's
It-
fighting force is dead. They're dead. Like
That's true, but
they have
until
nobody.
Israel gets
So.
like full control.
Go
issue
send all the
is-
pro-Palestine college students over there.
Yeah, no kidding. The- I wish people actually cared about the subject, because you know that it's all just talking points.
Yeah,
they
they're
look
like
at Israel as like a
Mhm.
Western force, and that's the only reason they hate them.
yeah, it's like Hamas literally invaded during a music festival and killed Americans, Germans, and they killed more
It's
people that weren't
inexcusable.
Israelis than like,
And then they'll go and like hide in basements, whatnot. And then when Israel like warns the people in the buildings to leave, whatnot, then they'll bomb the buildings, and people will be like, "Oh my God, they're attacking civilians."
yeah, it's like
It's like, first off, like, and then they'll even say like, "It's the most urban warfare ever." It's like, you can't have both talking points. It
yeah.
can't be this brutal urban warfare that they're attacking civilians, but the population is growing. Like, that doesn't-
It doesn't make sense.
It's the worst genocide in history, where the population is growing as like. I've had arguments with friends where I've said that before. Like, when you realize when you say genocide, everyone thinks you mean like the Holocaust. Like,
yeah.
there wasn't more Jews after the Holocaust than before the Holocaust. Like, that's
No,
not
there
how,
was a lot
that's
less.
not how genocides work. Like, that's
No.
not, but I think the left has an anti-Jew problem, horribly.
I think
right
so,
now.
especially right now. This just escalated it. Like I feel like it might have been there, but it wasn't talked about that much. And now it's like up there because they're like, oh, they're killing civilians, they're doing this, just like you said, they're just blaming the Jewish community, and it's like,
I think the left has a very bad issue that they look at success as a bad thing.
yeah,
So if you
100%.
are a successful group, you have to be an evil group in a way.
You couldn't have gotten
Jews
that money
are
legit, no way.
Super
Like,
successful, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it gets them to. They almost talk like Nazis at points where it's like, well, they control everything. They must be evil for it, and
Yeah.
it just boils down to the like, well, yeah, they're more westernized. They're a better culture than who they're ruling over. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
but Ukraine, so they defend Ukraine too.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with the Ukraine war is there's 3 options for this freaking war. There's 3.
Okay.
We go boots on the ground, we beat Russia, and we basically go to war with Russia. We fund a forever war and let Ukraine play self-defense forever, and now we're just funding another forever war. Or we turn away and we go, this isn't our problem.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 issues. All of those solutions you don't have to be anti-Russia for, you don't have to be pro-Russia for, you don't have to be anti-Ukraine for, or pro-Ukraine for. Those are your 3 options on the board.
Yeah, the first option, no. That'll be World War III if that happens. 100%. And that's what Ukraine wanted. They wanted us to give them troops. Like, no. We have no stake in that war right now. That's why they wanted to sign that mineral deal. Because then, like Vice President Vance said, he said, if you sign this deal, we'll have stake. We will be there. We will have troops there. Russia will back the fuck off. And then you'll have your country again, and we'll mine your minerals and help America stay self-sufficient.
Essentially, we'd be the world's police. Which is okay if that's the... We can't half-ass it, though. We can't be this country that does the... We're going to control the world, and this is an unjust war, so we're going to come in here and fight it.
Yeah.
But then not do it with other countries.
Yeah, I don't like what we're doing with Ukraine.
It's a hard standard.
I just don't like that we even got into it that much. Like, I understand Russia's like an enemy, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, that's not our fight. That wasn't our fight at all. Like,
if we're gonna help them enough at the beginning that they can actually win the war.
We did. Somehow they lost.
We give them enough that they can keep the war going, but never enough that they can turn the tides. Because frankly, Russia will just throw all their assets at.
Yeah, they're
never gonna give up. So it's almost like fighting Japan back in World War II. It's like, how do you beat a country that will literally throw every single civilian at you?
Yeah.
But until that Ukraine is willing to take an off-ramp, like, listen, you're gonna lose some in this war. It's not fair. Russia's the big bad bully on the playground. I don't have to defend Russia to say, you're gonna lose this war. And what do we gain unless we go all out? Like I said, we have to literally beat Russia into submission. But why would we do that? For what resource? For what?
I believe I saw something this morning when I was scrolling through X, and it said something about how Putin has agreed to the ceasefire terms.
They're having a talk tomorrow. Trump
which is good. But everybody on the left is like, oh, Trump's friends with their best friends. Putin's running America. And it's like, no. They just respect each other. You can respect a leader, like, even if he's a bad guy. You know, like, you can respect him. Yeah. What was it, Xi Jinping? Is that his name? Xi Jinping? Yeah.
Yeah, if you tell me right now who's a bigger threat, this is a big difference between the cultural divide, though. If you ask anyone on the right who's a bigger threat, they're going to say China. You ask
100%.
anyone on the left, they're going to say Russia. It's a really easy way of telling.
But it's also the same thing at the point, because if we start a conflict with one, the other's going to jump in. So it really doesn't matter. Like,
no one likes us.
It's going to be Russia, North Korea, fucking, like, China, and Vietnam, and then a bunch of other countries, like, small ones, are going to group in. But those are the main ones, and they're just going to start fighting. And it's not going to work.
Good thing we have the biggest oceans in the world dividing us.
It
allows us to kind of say and do whatever we want. But well, let's see. Trump didn't start no new wars in his first term. I don't think he'll start anything new this term.
I don't think so. No.
I don't see anything new. It depends. Like I said, the way he ends this with Ukraine, I want Ukraine to still have a country. So as long as they get anything at the end, they probably.
I think what it was Russia keeps the Kremlin, or whatever the fuck that's called, that little reserve that they had for thousands of years, and Ukraine took at some point, whatever. And it's like, for one, they already like occupied it, like it's just like the war seemed kind of unnecessary. Like they already occupied it, but and then it's like okay, so they get that. The U.S. moves into Ukraine because we get to mine their minerals, so that'll help us. We'll make a fuck ton of money off of it, and then Russia will fuck off because they don't want to fuck with the U.S. Probably not right now.
Yeah.
Like, especially when they're
I
exhausted
also
from a war.
I don't think Russia would have done that attack if it wasn't for Afghanistan. We fucked
Yeah.
up Afghanistan so badly that I think they literally was like, oh,
Yeah,
we
that
can
was
do whatever
crazy.
we want. Now's the time to do it.
Literally wasted like trillions of dollars on Afghanistan over those like what we got there in like 2008 or some shit and left in 21. And the day after we left, the Taliban took over.
Yep.
Like fully killed. Like the whole point we were there was training the Afghan army to fight the Taliban, which in all credit, Taliban is actually running Afghanistan very nicely. Afghanistan's economy has gone up like significantly, but
They're forced to. I mean,
yeah.
you see it, look at Mexico though. A lot of the bigger cities in there are ran by gang culture. It just
100%. The cartels run that whole country. I guarantee it.
yeah,
They have to. Like they're just so influential that it would be crazy if they're like. And I'm not saying like the president of Mexico's corrupt, but like I'm saying somewhere in that government, there's people that are
Oh, yeah,
doing shit to help
I
them.
mean,
Like
say the same with ours. I mean, there's
Yeah,
definitely
there's-
reasons certain cities are still ran by the same people. Like
yeah,
I think every government's somewhat corrupt. So whenever people,
yeah,
that's one thing I will say. I hate how the right argues about Ukraine sometimes, because the right will also a lot of times sit here and like, well, Ukraine is immoral because of this or this, or Zelensky used to be like a Nazi supporter or whatnot. And I'm like, you don't actually care about that. Like,
no, I just don't. I just
do
don't
the
think we have a
Tim Pool
stake.
argument. Yeah. The Tim Pool. I just don't want a fun war. Like
I agree with that. Like, and
I
I'm
agree with that
I'm a
stance.
military guy. Like, I'm in the army. Like, I'm in the infantry, and it's like I don't want like a war. Will I fight one? Yeah, sure. But like, do I want one? No. Like, I don't see a point.
I argue that with my Democrat friends sometimes, where they'll talk about some of these wars. I'm like, are you friends with anyone in the military? Like, you're sending some of my friends overseas. That's
Yeah.
your argument to me right now. Like I'm the one that has to wonder if my friend will ever enter Discord again. If what you want to happen happens. Like that's
Exactly.
a concern that you should really pan out in your head. Like, do you have anyone that's actually at stake when you say these things?
Yeah.
Like,
But they don't because they have like once again they have no stake in any of those wars. Like not even just that like and us too most of the time, like the U.S. in general. But like they want the war, and then there's like, but why? And they're like, well, that's their argument.
It's morally right. The Ukraine war, it's because Russia's big bad Russia, and if you don't support Ukraine, it's because you're pro Russia. And
I hate that
argument. Yep,
like
it's
no,
the entire argument. Though.
Yeah,
They
there's
have nothing
always
else.
been anti-war people. Like always, like
I mean,
people don't
Israel's
want wars.
Israel's the same way where I think most Democrats legit think of Israel, like civilians, as white people. Like, it's the big bad white people against the poor brown people of Palestine, like every other country around there.
Yeah.
It's like, no, these are brown people against brown people. Like, do you even know the conflict? Like, or they'll always pick a year. Like,
didn't
well,
it start
it's not
over
fair
who
because of
controls
this.
Jerusalem or something?
It depends how far back you want to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was I think that's like one of the big ones. They always bring it up.
The biggest issue I think they had is during World War II, essentially Great Britain said to two different groups of people, hey, this land is yours if you help us win the war. And then when they won the war, they kind of went, all right, we'll fight over it.
Yep.
And Israel got the U.S. backing, and Israel keeps winning wars and gaining territory every time they win a war. And then the country that they'll win territory from will go up to other people and go, how dare they take our land? How dare they? And then they'll go try to kill Israel again, lose another war, lose more land, and then go, can we just go back to how things were? Like, we'll forgive you guys for all the wars you kicked our asses in.
I don't know. I don't like any of the wars going on. Like, there's some wars that I can't even, like, World War II made sense. That was the last war that made sense to me. Like,
where it's like, you could see that
Vietnam made, like, I understand they were trying to, like, battle communism, but, like, for one, they didn't even fucking win. Like, we pulled out because we were losing assets.
Even take World War II as an example, though. How that's taught in our country is, like, oh, we had to go protect the Jews. Like, we had to go stop Germany from their
No, we stood
atrocity.
up for our country. That's
No,
why we
yeah,
did it.
essentially,
Like,
if Japan never attacked us, we wouldn't have got involved
no,
anyways.
that's how it should be. Like,
Yeah,
let them do their own wars. Like, I understand with allies and shit, you know, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like NATO's a fucking scam for the U.S. Like,
it just
every
all
NATO country
depends.
contributes the exact same amount of money towards a conflict that the U.S. would provide.
Mhm.
One country
Or
versus like 50.
it's all about business deals. It's all
Yeah,
about business
but
deals. And the United States
I hate
wanted
it.
to do the business deal of we wanted to be involved in everything. Now
Yeah,
you got Trump who's looking back and going, okay, we have a lot of these deals, but we kind of made sure that they were more one-sided against us so that we were
yeah,
involved in everything. Now it's our time to go, hey, let's
yeah,
negotiate these deals because if we leave, you guys are screwed.
yeah.
So we should have more of a stranglehold over NATO of,
We
all right,
should.
we'll just leave NATO.
We are the world's
Like,
superpower. Like, we are the, like,
yeah,
the
like,
U.S. is the country.
and we act either like we are or we're not, depending on the
Yeah,
day.
it's.
Just go
I
all
hate
in
it.
one way or another. Be isolationist. I'm okay with that. Or be the world's police. Just don't half-ass it. Like,
Yeah. It's
but
just. I feel like just people don't want to be American. I feel like, and they're American, and I feel like some of those arguments is like we'll see like college age women right on a college campus talking to Charlie Kirk or something, and she's like, "I'm like Palestinian and I don't want to live here," and he'll be like, "Then go over there," and they'll
yeah,
be like, "Well, no, it's like it's bad there." It's like, then why are you complaining?
just look at even like Instagram comments and stuff. Like
That's
abortion
crazy.
will get banned, and people are like, "We're basically in a third world country." It's like, please leave the United States at some point of your life and look at any other country in the world ever.
Women can't even walk outside without if they show their face, they get executed in some places in the
People
Middle
go,
East. Like
these people go like, "Well, I've been to Mexico," and it's like, no, you've been to a resort. You've been to a United States.
you've been to Cancun.
section.
You've been to
Like,
Cancun.
that doesn't count.
Like,
Like, you can't take a cruise ship to a country and be like, "Oh yeah, I got to see the locals."
that's what Liz was
No.
talking about, the Bahamas. I'm like, the Bahamas is like gang ridden. It's or
Yeah,
no, Jamaica and shit, you know, Bahamas and everything. It's
a lot
bad.
of them are.
Yeah,
as soon
and
as you
she's
leave,
like,
the
she's
resort
like, but my
areas.
parents were there for like 6 months. I'm like, yeah, in the resort, like
Yeah,
the tourist towns.
too many of these people, they'll say stuff like how bad things are, and they just don't even realize our ability to spend 3 hours a day on our phones complaining about the country is a luxury.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah, they
we
don't
are
understand that.
we are such a privileged culture.
One of my friends, the one I mentioned earlier that lives in Iowa, she was like, "How could you vote for Trump and be having a child on the way? What if it's a woman?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she didn't say anything.
They
And I
just
was
don't
like, "What?"
understand.
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
what? My kid can't just go get knocked up and then just go kick it out because they don't want
I
it?
have I have that issue too of I'm not religious at all. I am.
Yeah, no,
I'm just not.
I don't really believe, but I respect people who have religion. Like, I don't.
I don't mind
Yeah.
if people do, but
Mhm.
they'll get in abortion arguments and they'll almost say that. But well, if you're not religious, I don't understand why you can't. And to me, it's like all I have to say is, I think it's a kid. You have to now convince me that it is not a child that you are killing in that
Yeah,
process.
my dad always
Like,
says,
good luck.
"Don't have sex. Don't have sex.
Yeah.
Won't have a kid." Like, you want it every single time you have sex, even protected, you're accepting some
You're
tiny
risking
risk.
it. Yes. You're
Every
always
single time you're
risking it.
gambling. Every single time,
It
and
should
people
never be used as a birth control.
100%. And
But
how my
also-
dad always talked about it was, don't have taxpayers pay for it. If people want to go get an
Yes.
abortion, he does not care. If they pay full price out of pocket, insurance doesn't, except for medical. That's the issue. You talk about abortion, and people are like, what about
Yeah.
rape, incest, and this? And it's like, those are exceptions. There's
Yeah,
always
and I think most
exceptions. Like,
people- I think there's an in between that most people are okay with.
Mhm.
Also, like, if you took like a plan B, I think most people are okay with plan Bs.
yeah.
You got some religious nuts who probably aren't, but I think by and large, and I think most people are against 9-month abortions.
Oh,
I
that's
think if you
terrible.
actually
Yeah.
said, I think if you actually told them like, hey, like, well, I don't want to restrict a woman's rights, but I mean 8 months in, and they're kind of like, oh, okay. I think
That's a full-ass
in
baby.
Between, yeah. I think
Like,
there's an
Liz is
in-between
only,
there that
like-
we can all agree with.
Liz was only like 3-4 months, and you could see the full baby in there, and it's like moving, and it's got a heartbeat. Like,
I think as soon as you have a kid too, I think your opinions on it change so much. I think
maybe
like,
I think
you
mine
seeing
will
the
probably be the
process.
same, but
But you're all right. It sounds like you're kind of anti-abortion as is.
I feel, yeah, except for, obviously the exceptions. I understand that.
Yeah.
Like, if we had to choose a mom or the baby, choose the mom. The
Yes.
mom can
Yes.
always have another
Potential
baby.
life
Like,
over. Yeah.
and a
Like.
baby living without a biological mother it's bad. Like,
Yeah.
good luck.
Well, dude, we need to fix the foster care system in this country too.
100%.
And people will say that about like, well, I don't want to put my kids in adoption because that's bad for them. It's like, okay, so you're gonna kill them. Like that
Yeah.
in your mind, you are saying, oh, what if they're born with deformities? Okay, so you think deformed people should die instead? Like, just say it with your chest. Like,
It's the
you
same
can't even
people
make
who
an argument. Just
it's the same
say it
people
with
who
your
will be
chest.
like I support like special needs, I support all this, then they'll be like, but people with Down syndrome shouldn't reproduce.
Yeah,
And they'll say that too. Which
or,
I could
did you know
it's
that
kind of a
Finland
strange.
completely eradicated it? It's like, yeah, they didn't allow them
Yeah.
to mate.
Yeah, I mean, go look at Germany. They have like everyone there is like beautiful, everything worked out because of the genocide, which is it's bad, but that's what happens with
Brother, I
genocides.
fully
Like,
believe if you read like a normal person, just an average,
mhm.
doesn't even have to be left or right.
Yeah,
If you just read them like some of Hitler's beliefs, if you didn't tell them they were Hitler's beliefs, I think they would agree or disagree depending on who they thought they were.
hundred
Like
percent.
if I walked up to someone and said like Obama wanted to pass a bill that made it so that genetically insuperior, not like super genetically insuperior, but like actually like mentally disabled people that you knew you were going to pass the genetics on to your offspring. Obama wanted to pass a law making it so that those people couldn't reproduce because it's unfair to the offspring. Are you okay with that? I think you'd
Yeah,
have a
they'd
lot
be
of
like,
people on the left
she'd
go,
be like,
yeah, 100%.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
unfair for them to be born with those restrictions. It's like, okay, that's a Hitler belief. Like all the way. Like,
God, dude, that'd be a good video. Just-
I think you could do the same thing with Trump people too.
You could,
I think you could
yeah,
go up to Trump and
100%.
go, "Hey, Trump wants to take full control of the government, but only because he thinks he can restructure it in such a way that." And I think a lot of Trump people would be, "Yeah, okay." Like,
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, Hitler was elected. Like,
yes, at the time.
he
Yes.
it was he did not like everyone's like he took over and I'm like, yeah, kind of after a while. It was kind of like a martial law type of thing, with wars and everything. But then it's like he was elected. They loved him. They loved
also-
Chancellor Hitler. Like,
You have to look at what happened beforehand too. I mean, Germany
Yeah.
got blamed for all World War One, was basically put into
Yeah.
a debt cycle that they would never get out of. Then Hitler got elected, got them out of that debt cycle, and it's like if he didn't do the things with the Jews, honestly, that war would probably be looked at way differently now.
100%.
It's the concept of we're able to kind of go, okay, but he's also an evil person for these things,
Yeah.
and that excuses like everything else he did.
Like you can't
as
even you
bad.
can't even talk about his good stuff because people just think you're a Nazi. Like you can't say that he had some. Every leader
He fixed
doesn't matter who.
Germany's economy.
Every leader doesn't matter who it is. Vladimir Putin, fucking Adolf Hitler, fucking Mussolini. All these guys they
Wow.
all had great things. Were they horrible? Maybe. Yeah, they had some like bad stuff that they did, absolutely. But like, they still helped their country. Like they had good things. There's always good to learn from everything bad.
I gotta make this clear before I make this statement that I'm not referring to Hitler. I am not referring to Hitler. But almost all these people in history, though, that have done like these big, historically bad things,
Yeah.
came from a point of view that it was gonna help in the long term. Like
Yeah.
Japan with the Great Leap Forward was one of the worst things to ever happen to a civilization ever. They basically took away all their farmlands and went, we're gonna go full industrialized, and then starved entire population, like generations
Yeah.
of people. It's like, and we can sit back and go, man, they were stupid. However, but if it worked, we would never look back at it as a bad thing. Like America, we industrialized half of our country, while the other
Mhm.
half fed that side with slave labor.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we look back at that and we go, okay, good thing we industrialized, but we only were able to do it because the South didn't. We set
Yeah.
the South back enough, like, but hindsight's always 2020. We can look back at things now and go, yeah, Hitler was 100% wrong. Oh my God, that didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't work. If they win that war, and next thing you know, they're the genetic bred, perfect super soldiers of the world. I mean, from their perspective, they're gonna go, well, yeah, we did everything right.
Yeah,
They
it's
just like,
everything. It's kind of weird to say, but like everything evil that people do in the world has good purpose. They usually have a good purpose for it. Like
Yes.
they have well good in their mind. You know, like they're not trying to do this
Mhm.
because they hate something. They're trying to do it to help in some way.
When Christina and I, when we watch a movie or a TV show, there's times that I bitch about that where I'm like, no one would think the way this person thinks. They are
Yeah.
too naturally evil that their plan doesn't even make sense. Like, to me, a good villain is the people like Jigsaw, where it's like, yeah, I'm torturing people, but they're evil people as is.
Yeah, like well, it's not. Yeah, his thing is he's torturing, but then he's not because it's a game.
He
Like,
thinks of it as rehabilitation too.
Yeah.
But too many times you see these people who, especially when they depict the left or the right, it's purely well, they're only greedy or they're only evil. They're only it's like no, they have a completely different set of thoughts than you. Like if you can't relate to them, you're fucked. You're out of the conversation at that point. Like
Yeah.
but hey, we've been going for about an hour and 5 minutes, so you want to wrap up our episode 1?
Yeah. I don't even know how to wrap this up. I mean, shout out your channels. This was a good first episode. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, bro.
You're not wearing green. I gotta go drive up there and punch the shit out of you because I don't
my
pinch, I
lights are
punch.
like a yellowish green.
Your headset might. Does your headset have the green on? Okay.
No, it's just reflecting the light.
Oh.
It's all black. But so before we go, let's talk a little bit about the future of the show. We do plan on recording every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, correct?
As far as except maybe if something crazy happens, we might do a short little 20-minute thing.
Episode.
Yeah.
Always do like breaking episodes one night.
But yeah, it's gonna mostly be this week. Might be more like us talking about how we feel about stuff, but it is gonna kind of turn into a highlight of the news. Like Monday will be what happened during the weekend. Wednesday is what happened between Monday and Tuesday. Friday between Wednesday, Are
you looking to get the stuff posted the day of, or do you think you're getting like Monday show get posted on Tuesday?
Depends how this episode goes. Because if it goes pretty good and it doesn't need much editing, you know what I mean? Like if it's just kind of inherently
Audio
good.
syncs and go.
Yeah, like hell yeah, we can upload it straight up. You know, it'll most likely be Spotify, Rumble, and YouTube are the main three. With maybe a little snippet on like something, you know, like Instagram and X, but
all right, perfect. Then then I have been Drat the Carrot. You can follow me over on my own. I don't even have my light on. I just realized. I don't even have my advertisement light, but you can follow me on my own YouTube channel. Over at Drat the Carrot. I mostly play Pokemon and other video games, but I like to talk about politics and cultural issues. So I'm happy that we're starting the show together. It's gonna be fun.
It will be, and it was fun. Once again, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
This is the Red, White, and Real podcast, wrapping up our first episode.
All right, perfect. We'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.